Thanks for supporting us.
Subscribe for more Curious Chronicles.
Summer, 1858. London is the heart of the world, but it has a disgusting secret. For centuries, the city's waste has been dumped directly into the River Thames. Then, a massive heat wave hits. The river, now a thick, black soup of human waste and industrial chemicals, begins to cook under the sun. The result? The Great Stink. The smell is so overpowering it can be felt miles away. Inside the House of Commons, politicians soak their curtains in chloride of lime to stop from fainting, but the stench is inescapable. People believe the air itself is deadly, carrying, quote, miasma that kills. Business stops. The city is on the brink of evacuation. Finally, Parliament is forced to act, passing a law in just 18 days to build a revolutionary sewer system. The Great Stink wasn't just a smell, it was the catalyst for modern engineering, proving that a city's progress is only as good as its plumbing. Nature forced London to clean up its act, or choke on its own filth. What's the weirdest smell you've ever encountered? Tell us below.
More Curious Chronicles.
February 20th, 1943, Michoacán, Mexico. A farmer named Dionisio Pulido is working in his cornfield when the ground beneath his feet begins to cough. A small fissure opens, barely a few inches deep. Dionisio tries to fill it with dirt, but the earth spits it back out. Suddenly, the ground rises. Smoke and the smell of sulfur fill the air. By the next morning, a cone of ash and stone has grown 6 stories high. This was the birth of Paricutin. For the next 9 years, the volcano roared, eventually reaching over 1,300 feet. It didn't just grow, it marched. Slow-moving lava swallowed 2 entire towns. Miraculously, no one was killed by the lava, but the landscape was transformed forever. Today, all that remains of the village of San Juan Parangaricutiro is the top half of its cathedral, standing defiantly above a sea of jagged, frozen black rock. A farmer went out to plant corn and ended up witnessing the birth of a mountain. In 2006, off the coast of Palawan, Philippines, a local fisherman was caught in a fierce storm. As he struggled to anchor his boat, his anchor got snagged on a giant clam. He dived down to free it and found something impossible, a massive, oddly shaped white stone. He didn't know it was a treasure. He thought it was a lucky charm. For the next 10 years, the fisherman kept this 75-pound rock hidden under his wooden bed, touching it every time he went out to sea for good luck. It wasn't until a fire forced him to move out of his small shack that he showed it to a local tourism officer. The world was stunned. It wasn't a rock. It was a natural pearl, over 2 feet long, the largest ever discovered in human history, valued at nearly $100 million. A man lived in poverty for a decade, sleeping right on top of a fortune, all because of a simple snag in the sea. July 1816. The French frigate Medusa runs aground off the coast of Africa. There aren't enough lifeboats. In a desperate move, 147 soldiers and sailors are crowded onto a makeshift wooden raft and abandoned by their captain. What followed was 13 days of hell. With almost no food or water, the raft became a floating nightmare. By the second night, chaos erupted. Mutiny, madness, and starvation drove the survivors to the unthinkable. To stay alive, they were forced to eat the remains of those who had fallen. When the raft was finally spotted by the ship Argus, only 15 men were left alive. The French government tried to cover up the captain's incompetence, but 2 survivors told their story. It inspired the young artist Theodore Géricault to create a massive, gruesome painting that broke all the rules of art. He even kept body parts in his studio to capture the true color of death. A disaster that became a scandal, and a scandal that became immortal art. September 1991. High in the Ötztal Alps, on the border of Austria and Italy, 2 German hikers spot something brown poking out of the melting glacier. They think it's a modern mountaineer who met a tragic end. They were wrong by 5 millennia. This was Ötzi, a man who lived over 5,300 years ago, perfectly preserved by the ice. But as scientists thawed him, the mystery deepened. This wasn't just a natural death, it was a murder mystery. An arrowhead was lodged in his shoulder, and defensive wounds covered his hands. He had been shot from behind while fleeing through the peaks. Beside him lay a high-status copper axe and a sophisticated survival kit, suggesting he was someone of great importance. Was it a ritual sacrifice, a tribal power struggle, or a mountain ambush? After 50 centuries, the mountains finally gave up their ghost, but they kept his killer's identity a secret forever.